You laugh. So let's see if I can. Can you see me again? Let's see. Okay, I have to wait a second. I'm I'm back. I'm so sorry, but then I will give you a little bit of context of these. I'm just waiting. Just waiting till. Um, just give me then a proof that you are back. But then, as I said, I have to give you a little bit of context. What I mean, in general, you should. In general, you know that I don't answer the phone. I mean, especially because I am officially in class. Okay, so just let me wait. Perfect. But you are still four students, so I'm waiting till you will be all. But in the meantime, back here. Perfect. In the meantime, just let me know if you are back online. I'm waiting for you. I was saying a little bit of context is simply this. That is, by remaining at home, you have to do all of your things when you are at home. And basically, because my wife is a doctor and she works at the hospital, uh, when people call me, I don't know what they are calling me, especially because they have this horrible behavior of uh, using from these kind of offices, from hospital, and so on and so on. They use like they hide their numbers. So unfortunately, if I receive a call and I know the number of who's calling me, I can just swipe and I will call it later. But when I receive a phone call that is like unknown number, then I'm so sorry, but I have to answer because I don't know if it is the hospital or the school or stuff like that. And I'm so sorry if this has cut our explanation. They are just small issues that happen when we are just we are at home. I mean, and we can go anywhere else. Okay. So I've said these just because I'm waiting that you are. Thank you so much. Just waiting so that you are again online and you are correctly following these. You are here. Okay. Let's wait a few more students. Okay. Let's see. Let's see. Thank you so much. Seven, seven viewers. We were a bit more. Anyway, um, let's start again. And we will start basically from here. So I still have the screen back. So let's wait a few seconds more. So I was saying this. Uh, we were talking about rendering panel, and I was trying to explain this. So that I recap what I was doing. When we make renderings, and because all of you have already seen 3ds Max rendering, you know that in 3ds Max you can use artificial or sunlight. But where is the problem? The problem is that each time that we use artificial light sources in combination with artificial light sources, we need to change the exposure value. It is a pretty common problem if you remember using 3ds Max. When you have artificial light, then you put the sunlight and renderings are super bright. So then you change the exposure and then you put then you remove sunlight and suddenly the rendering remains black. And again, it is so annoying. You have to change the exposure again and again. And what is unbelievably complex in 3ds Max is then if you want to use at the same time artificial and sunlight together, then it becomes so complex to find the balance between exposure and intensity of light and this and this and that. It becomes a gigantic mess. So see why instead in Revit making rendering is not the best, is not the most beautiful quality ever seen, but it is so simple because when you see this part here of the menu and you see this one that is the scheme, you can easily set your lighting scheme in this way. Look, you can say exterior sun only. What this simple parameter means, so what this includes in one parameter only, is that in this way, my rendering will be by having only sunlight turned on, so shining, and the exposure will be correctly set according to this light source. And the exposure will be also correctly set like I am doing an exterior rendering, so a view from the outside. So first thing first is I can click here and I will find 6 different combinations of available light source and exposure adjustments that are preset. So I can use sun only for exterior. So Revit will turn on the sun only. It will keep artificial lights turned off. And it will set the exposure for exterior. I can use exterior sun and artificial. So if I'm making an exterior scene and I can turn on lights, I can turn on the sun and Revit will set the exposure for this light combination, as well as if I choose exterior artificial only, the sun will be turned off and only artificial lights will be turned on, but the exposure will be set for those lights. And same thing for interior. So I can set exposure for interior, turn on the sun only. Exposure for interior, turn on the sun and artificial. Exposure for interior, and turning on artificial light only. So this is clearly an interior scene. What I will do is just to show you that light are components that have not only light fixture, but they also have light bulb, so the light source. I will set my lighting scheme to interior, artificial only. I don't want to see also the effect of the sun. So basically this is like making a rendering nighttime. And if I just click the button now that is called render, you should see, hoping that it won't freeze, but you should see the rendering of this view that will show you that the light fixtures are also projecting light. So let's click render. Let's see what happens. Oh, fantastic. I mean, it's not that fantastic, simply because, as I said, I have set my quality to draft just to make a quick preview. But, I mean, just to prove you that these lights are not only 3D models, so like the block of the light, they also have light projection. And why this is so important? Look, this is important because as all other objects in Revit, even components have parameters. But components are a little bit more complex to be managed simply because uh, they have not always same parameters. So if I have a bed will have certain parameters. If I find a table will have other parameters. If I use a chair, it will have other parameters. So just to show you, if I select a bed and I click edit type, I will find certain parameters like materials, dimensions, and then identified data are basically, if I want, I can just write the brand, the price, and other things. But what is important is that if I click edit type and I edit a component, there is a light in edit type in all light sources. I will find not only generic kind of parameters like materials and so on and so on, but in all different lights, if I scroll, I will always, and this is true for all lights, so for all light objects, I will always find a specific area of my parameters that is called photometrics. Okay? And believe it or not, photometric are exactly same light parameters that we have studied in 3ds Max. So basically, yes, it is an IES file. So each light has an IES file preloaded, and you can find it here. This is the name of the IES file that is managing this particular light. But not only you can load the IES file, to make your life easier, if you want, you can click these buttons. So you can click here, you can click here, you can click there. And do you remember parameters of photometric lights that we have seen in 3ds Max? We have mainly seen intensity, we have seen the color, and in here you can change them as you wish. So my rendering was pretty yellow and it was also really dark. But why? Simply because initial parameters of these lamps are that they have a very small intensity and they have this color that is 3200 Kelvin. That is a pretty yellowish color. So what I will do is I click intensity and I can increase the intensity, and I can also, if I am more familiar with 3ds Max parameters, I can also use 3ds Max units. And in 3ds Max, if you remember, we were using not watts, but we were using lumens or candles. So if I want, I click luminous flux. Let's say I make, I don't know, 4,000 lumens. Yes, LM is if you know the intensity of light in lumens. CD is if you know the intensity of light in candles. Yes. I'm so sorry, I was faster. I've read your message before you were able to delete it. And also, we can change the color. So instead of this yellowish, I can make it like D65. That would be pure white. Then I click OK. And just to check that we can basically manage lights like we were in 3ds Max, let's see what happens if I go to View, then I click Render. As you can see, my render settings are still there. I don't have each time to change them. But if I click Render, instead of having that yellowish, very dark image, I should have a more white and a little bit brighter result. Let's see if it is true. Fantastic. Look at that. That's too cool to be true. Don't mind about the quality. The quality that is so pixelated is simply because I'm keeping here the quality draft just to avoid waiting minutes in order to see the result. So the fact that all shapes are not sharp depends only on this. I mean, if you just want to see, if you go to render height, and I render again, it simply takes a little extra time, but you can start viewing that the rendering will be a lot sharper. But this is not the point. I mean, just our final result. Okay, and then I have to stop. I have to stop because if not, the live stream will stuck. Okay, are you there? But for let me read the question. Where is the chat? Here. But for better rendering, you can also use Lumion or other external softwares. Yes, for sure. Yes, for sure. You can use many other external rendering engines with perfect. So you can use other render engines with Revit. There are some of them that are better, some of them are a little bit more complex. Which is the difference? The difference is that how additional render engines are integrated with the software itself. So, for example, there are two render engines that work really well with Revit. One that I hate, but this is just my opinion, is V-Ray. And V-Ray, there is V-Ray for Revit, can be used directly inside the software. One instead that I love is a software that unfortunately I don't think I can show you while I'm live streaming, because I think that if I render and live stream, the live stream will stuck. But the software that I personally use to render in Revit is called Enscape. Enscape has a lot of interesting aspects, but the one that I love the most, believe it or not, is that the price of Enscape is zero. And if you are a, look at that, student, you can obtain a fully working license of Enscape. That is, you can find the name here, for free, 100% for free. This is not a sponsored message. I just tried by myself. I love it. And Enscape is a real-time ray trace renders. So, really, in real time, you push this button and it renders. And it basically turns Revit into a gigantic video game. So, if you are interested then in using Revit in a more professional way, I highly recommend to check this software. This is called Enscape. That is 100% fully integrated with Revit. But showing you, after showing the lesson with materials, I will try instead to record a video offline, and then I will put it into the channel where I show you how to use it. But I can't use it while I'm live streaming, but it would be great. Anyway, Let me show you last couple of things about component. Then I haven't forgot. There is one of your classmates that asked something about the ceiling. So I have also to answer that question. But let's finish with component today. That is, this is last thing that I want to show you. When we use component and when we click load family, we need to understand that the process of uh, placing an object inside Revit in this way is simply that we select a file and we put this inside our project. Why this is so important? This is important because if we, for whatever reason, if we rename this file, if we rename this folder, if we delete this file from the folder, if we copy it, if we change the path of our file, when we will open our project again, we will have a horrible surprise. That is, that file, that object is gone from the project also. And why this is so important? This is important for two main aspects there are. Aspect number one is if we want to work with another person. So if we need to um, share the project with another person, we need to be sure that that person has also same library objects. Because if not, we give our file to someone else, that person will open it and boom, it will just find a room that is with walls and everything else will remain empty. And another reason why this is important to be known is this. You may notice that, and let me tell you, especially for furniture, these choices that we have inside our library, let's say, are not that many. They are a little bit poor. There are just a few examples, a few tables from we can choose, and there are just a selection that is not that great. Uh, so what we can do is basically this. Then I will answer questions that I wasn't watching the chat. What we can do is we can browse the web and we can download additional Revit family. So we can download additional components, but we need just to follow one simple rule that I will show you in a second. But first of all, which kind of websites we can use? The beautiful thing is that we can't use same websites that we were using with 3ds Max. So we can't use 3ds models. We need to use families and objects that are specifically created for 3ds Max. For Revit. And one of the most famous, one of the most popular website that contains a lot of Revit resource is, let me change the color, is a website that is called Revit City. It has a very ugly interface. It is terrible, but it has a lot of components. The only downside is, let's see if I can load it. It is Revit City. It is that it is for free, but it will ask you to join to this website. So you have just to make a free account. Nothing nothing crazy, nothing impossible, but just that they want to you to give them a couple of informations. The website looks pretty old, and I mean, but not because of this, it doesn't work. So if you click on downloads, takes a while, but then you should be able to browse categories of objects and you can download them. So let's see if it is too slow. Oh, finally. So what you can do here is that, let's say you can go to furniture, you can browse these folders, and you can choose between like office, settings, and you can start downloading a billion of additional extra components for your Revit. Okay? As I said, I won't show you how to download from here because I have no idea if I have ever joined this website. Another website instead, that is one that I like, honestly. It is a website called Herman Miller. And if you remember, I probably showed you this website for 3ds Max class as well. And what is interesting is that, let's just go to the English one. Exactly. So look, if I go to Herman Miller and I go to resources, I can find here 3D models and I will use product models and I will discover that Herman Miller gives me the possibility, all of us, gives us the possibility to download all 3D models of whatever object they sell. And this is for free. You don't need any registration. You don't need any particular thing to do. Just you have to browse the um, object that you like. You click this download button that you see next to the object, and when you click it, you discover that you can download that specific model in multi-platform versions. So you can have it for Revit, for SketchUp, for AutoCAD 2D, so just the two-dimensional block, or for AutoCAD 3D, that is a generic 3D model. So I will download for Revit. I will save it. And now that I have downloaded this chair, I will find this chair not more in my library, in my Revit library, but if I open and I browse my computer and I go to downloads, you will see this chair that is also in a zip format. So, first thing first. Yes, I did exactly. So let me see messages. So Just a quick recap of the chat. Is its quality better than Twinmotion? It is very close. It's not better, but very close. But it requires no knowledge in rendering to use Enscape versus Twinmotion. Then Nika says, yes, you did. Yes and no. I explain all the times, Herman Miller. Then, is it possible to convert 3D generic model file? It is terrible. In Revit, you can use 3D models that are made with a language that is called NURBS. So if you use generic 3D models, and for generic 3D models you mean 3ds, the answer is no, because they will be horrible. And while you can use all NURBS kind of files, those, yes. So you can convert files from Inventor, from SolidWorks, from Rhino 3D, those, yes. But generic 3D files, no. And one day I will show you why that would be just a disaster. But yes, not only solid models, they must be NURBS, because even a 3D poly is a solid, but that would be split into triangular mesh. That would be a disaster. So let me finish this. That is, if I want to use downloaded files, what I have to do is, first of all, I can't use them while they are still zip. So I have to right click and I have to extract them. And I have this. So what you can see now is that this is the path of my object. So what I need to do now is understanding how components work in Revit, because I can immediately load this component in my Revit. It's not a big problem. My main problem, it will be this. Look, if I click component and then I click load family, to use that downloaded chair, I need to go inside my name, downloads, this weird folder here, and finally I will find this chair that I have downloaded. So I can use it, I can open it, and first of all, I will see that this is a family. So it is not one single object, but I can choose if I want to load the no upholstery version or the one that has the upholstery seating. And I can left click to choose if I want to load one or the other, or if I hold Control, I can load both objects of this family inside my project. And I will click OK. And now I can place this chair wherever I want. Okay? Even if it is downloaded, spacebar works the same. So if I move here, I will have all these chairs. Okay? where is the only problem? I mean, which is the only aspect that I have to remember is this. Now, in my computer, if I go to the 3D also, I will show you how pretty these chairs are. Oh, they perfectly work. But let's delete this wall. Oh, look at that. So, where is the only problem? The only problem is here. If one day I have this brilliant idea, that is, I go to my download folder and I discover that I have 13 gigabytes of junk files, and I start by declutter my downloads folder. So I start deleting files that I think I'm not using. I start moving files from downloads to my USB stick, or I move them into my D drive, and so on and so on. If I change the position of my downloaded chair, I will discover that if I reopen then the Revit file, all chairs in this project will go, they will disappear, because they are not modeled inside this file, they are just linked to this file. So it is a good suggestion. It is something that works in reality to start, if you start downloading Revit files, to start downloading them, and I personally suggest to place them in a folder that you think you are not deleting, removing, renaming in any way, but first place the model in your folder, in your personal folder that you are going to use forever, and then place and load the family inside Revit. And in this way, you will never have issues in your projects. Okay? But if you just download and use it, download and use it, download and use it, and then you change your download folder, then it will be a gigantic disaster. Okay? Let's see if you have messages. Exactly. So next week we have a midterm exam, and let me tell you how the midterm exam works. That would be something very nice. And then I will tell you what to do if you have to send a file to someone else. So, first of all, 3 seconds for the midterm. The midterm will work exactly like the exercise that you have to do for today. So I will give you a PDF floor plan. You have to do 2 floors, and you have to put flooring, roof, and a staircase inside this project. The way that the midterm works will be just slightly different than my usual midterm exams, of course, because we are in a slightly different situation. So I will give you, and let's see if whiteboard works, so that, oh, let's see. This is how the midterm works. So next week, Friday, when we will start our next live stream, so at 11, more or less, I will give you the PDF file that contains a floor plan. And starting from that time, you have to turn that PDF file into a Revit file with all techniques that you know, turning it into DWG, importing, making walls. I mean, you are 100% free to um, make a uh, PDF into Revit file as you wish. But the PDF will be one level. One, is this delete? Fantastic. PDF will be one level, but you have to make two floors, putting floor, walls, floor, walls, roof, and you are free to put the stairs where you want, with the shape that you want, in the room that you want. You can make it L-shaped, you can make it straight, you can make it spiral, as you wish. And this is going to be the midterm. But the only difference will be, because I know that maybe you are not always following me live, and maybe not all of you have the right local time, so maybe in some areas now these are 3 a.m. or it is midnight and stuff like that. The only difference will be that I will make a Google Drive folder where you have to upload the file, and that folder will remain active for 24 hours. So you have time from Friday till Saturday to finish your midterm exam. Some of you maybe have not a working laptop, so you have to borrow one and stuff like that. Okay? This is how the midterm works. Then let me see questions. How can I turn a PDF to DWG? This is a dirty little secret. That is to turn a PDF to DWG, you should download a app that is called Any. Any is the brand, and it is called PDF to DWG. And it is fantastic because, yes, it says, I know I told you before, but just maybe someone wasn't paying attention. So this is how it works. Uh, so this is how the midterm works. In the time, so from 11 to 1 on Friday, while you are doing the midterm, in those 2 hours, I will be also available. I mean, I won't live stream me crossing fingers or me doing anything, but I will be available for live streaming in any time. So I will basically keep just the picture of the PDF that shows the floor plan so that during those 2 hours of the live stream, if any of you have issues, problems, doubts, and so on and so on, I can answer in real time to your problems, to your questions, and if needed, I can then live stream also Revit solutions for your problems. Okay? Is that clear? Let me see the. Okay? Perfect. So, quick answer to the question that is Marco asked, what if I have to send the file by mail? That's very simple. You have to send your Revit file plus all of your custom objects. And we gonna download from the drive? Right. Yes. I will give you the PDF from the Google Drive so you can download it. In the meantime, if you want to make just practice, just go to the Google Drive and go to Marco and then go to AutoCAD folder. Inside AutoCAD folder, in my Google Drive folder, you can find all my previous AutoCAD midterm examples, and you can just make practice by using all those PDF files if you want to be super prepared for next Friday. Okay? Let me see the chat. Okay, so there is a lot of delay between when I speak and when you see me on the screen. That is terrible. Anyway, so uh, let's see if I can. The chat. The chat says in the previous live, someone asked about the ceiling. So let's see if I can do it now. There is this, basically. Let's say if you have inner walls like this, and I want to make a ceiling on my second level, so I go to level 2, I click ceiling, no ceiling, sorry, I explained it, you click floor, and you pick walls, and now I have to pick them because now I have too many walls, and then I will close this. Oh, why not? What a beautiful shape. Perfect. So I click OK. And then when I make this floor, Revit will ask me if I want to cut these walls. And I click yes. Overlapping volume. So if I check, when I go to 3D, and I go to hidden lines, I will see this. That is, my walls are perfectly working here, and these walls are not. They are basically crossing the floor. Okay? So, what you can do here to solve this problem, let's see if we can solve it in two ways. Way number one is this. If you need these walls to go from level 0 till here, and you then don't want these to go upstairs, this is option number one. You can select the wall, attach the top, and click the floor. So I will unjoin. Let's do it again. Can't keep. Why? It was very nice. No, let's do it this. Attach, select. Okay, I don't know why that wall, it doesn't like it. But this is option number one. If I just need the wall to go from level 0 till this ceiling here. But sometimes this is not the case, because sometimes maybe we have two floors that have same exact inner wall subdivision. So I need to keep walls above and below. I just don't like the fact that here my wall and my floor are overlapping each other, and this is my issue. Let's see if I can fix it this in a second. If not, this requires a longer explanation. But what I can try to do here is probably something that I forgot to explain in class, is let's see if I can use this simple tool that is called join. So I can click join, then I select the wall and the floor, boom, and they simply work. In this way, you will see that lower part of the wall stops underneath the ceiling, and upper part of the wall starts above the ceiling, but I was able to remove this basically intersection that goes through the floor just by using this simple tool that is called join. Okay, was this the question? Oh, also, there is the video that shows the same thing. Fantastic. Lovely. Perfect. So this this basically ends today's video, today's lessons. And if you have other problems, send me email. I will try to answer as fast as I can. And and remember to like and subscribe. And if these YouTube videos career will explode, I'm thinking I'm going to release merch, so I will make t-shirts. So like real YouTubers say, like and subscribe and buy the merch, and I will leave you the link into the description below. Okay, Bye, everyone. It has been a pleasure. Let's see if you have messages, and then I will stop. Awesome. Ciao.